Welcome to Business First Africa with Ashwin Berry, because it's never just business, it is life. And you'll notice that we just showed you our favorite stinger, which we don't play as often as I'd like to, which is creative capital, which means that we have a legit bona fide Namibian creative in studio. Her name is Tutu Mungoba, but I understand as to our conversation prior to this, it's actually pronounced Duduzile. Filmmaker, film producer, connoisseur of the arts.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us on the show, Tutu.
Thank you for having me, Baba.
It's good to have you here. So, how's the journey been lately with regards to filmmaking?
Humbling. From our conversations offline in the past, I left corporate to embark on this journey of storytelling, deliberately so. I felt on screen we were not telling authentic stories, because having worked for corporate, when it comes to story formations, there's always an agenda behind it.
There's a template.
There's a template behind it. There's a particular voice, a particular and a story at the end of the day that needs to be penetrated into the market, and it's not necessarily yours. Many Namibian practicing creatives do commissioning work. Yeah. So when it's your commissioning work, only a portion of you is in that work. Only a true representation of yourself is halfway there, anticlimatically so.
Yes.
Yes. So I really wanted to be intentional about it. I had a meeting with my elders and my elders council, because I'm one that I believe I come from a clan of people that I'm answerable to. I have children that I need to feed, of course, and you know, in the African culture, it's not your salary is not just yours.
No, it's impossible.
You're feeding a whole lot of people.
Yes.
So I had a meeting with my elders and my people, and I said, look, guys, just give me 3 years to play in the sand and just get muddy and dirty and really be vulnerable to the cause. So it's a journey that I don't really, and I say this all the time, you're not ready for it until you are in it. Even from a business perspective, but of course we can speak about that later. So it's been humbling.
But I was actually going to ask though, do you feel though that you've benefited from that strong corporate background?
Yes.
And as far as corporates go, you would have had a little more room for creativity than an accountant, so to speak.
Yes.
But do you feel that you've benefited from that structure, maybe administratively? There's some things that you've brought more into your creative journey from that experience?
Not only corporate, I think academia is very important. Being an academic that is a creative that is also in the corporate space is very key. I do say that a lot of my work in the independent space is research based. So there's a formula that is followed. I don't just tell a story, I need to know the backstory of the story. I think also it's overlooked that creatives are supposed to be people that understand the books, that understand standard operating procedures, that you know that you're not only just a creative, you're a business entity as well. That is what the mishap was for me. Because when you're in corporate, you are very much buffered.
Yes.
There's somebody who's paying, you take for granted the bills, the electricity, the running water, the Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, office space that you need to take care of. So you just come in with your skill set and your handbag, and you're good to go. And then there's a supporting team that is there for you. But as an independent creative, you need to sort out everything on your own. If you've not had your payments made, then of course the water bill is not going to pay itself. And then also HR is very important, because I've realized in the past 3 years, I've had clients who are not hiring to creative concepts, the business. They're hiring the brand. So many times I've had the challenge where my clients wanted me as Tutu to be on the project, rather than me subvending it to other creatives. So which means that becomes an HR thing. So instead of working on 5 projects in a year, you only get to work on 2. But then of course then your supplementing stuff becomes bigger as well. So there's been It's trying to balancing act, and then also trying to make the puzzles fit. But corporate is very important. Reading is very important. Skills capacity is very important.
Didn't our founding fathers say Namibia belongs to those who read?
Very much so.
That is really
very much so, because methodologies, school of thought is where you'll find it in the books. You will not understand why a red tie symbolizes power, but if you know that the power, the power of red, color of red evokes power and supreme being, then you'll get to know where it comes from. The same with, and I make this simple example of white being the color of peace. Why? There's a whole dogma.
Definitely.
Yeah, behind it.
Yes, 100%.
So, and that's what the news, I was even saying it before we went on air, the new kids on the block, they really take it for granted. Yeah, that you really need to equip yourself with knowledge as to the skill that you have and how that knowledge of the skill can capacitate it into the...
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I mean, you are talking about essentially striking that balance, but looking at the industry as a whole, do you feel that Namibian creatives are managing to bridge that gap?
How can we bridge the gap if we're not having the conversation amongst ourselves?
Amongst ourselves.
Yes.
So you know, usually the conversation is we're talking, corporate doesn't hear us,
yes.
Public institutions don't hear us, but you're saying amongst ourselves.
There's a big fragmentation. Photographers chill with photographers.
We're operating in silos.
Cinematographers chill with cinematographers. Or people in film chill with people in film.
So
people in the visual arts chill, dancers chill with. So only when you have a production that requires for them to work as a team, then you get to see them come together.
It's interesting because when we were at the Namibia EU Business Forum, we had a speaker from Estonia.
Yes,
and, yes, and one of the conversations, and I listened quite keenly because their population is similar to ours. And one of the conversations he had was about the creative economy in Estonia and how it's worth millions and millions of dollars at this point. But the core of it was people's ability to collaborate.
Yes, very much.
To create an ecosystem together.
Very, very much so.
So you're saying we're not doing that. How do we get there?
It's quite sad that a fish doesn't know that it's wet.
So I thought I was the poet.
Great minds think alike.
Yes.
We really need to have a conversation about where we want to see ourselves in the next 5 to 10 to 15 years. And baselines are very important. You just made an example of Estonia. It's not that we're taking their blueprint. We are learning from it and making it Namibian.
Yes.
However, it starts with a conversation. I tell you, NASCAM has meetings. You only find 3 people or 4 people that come through. You only find 7 people that are online. The Film Association of Namibia calls together filmmakers and creatives that are in that space to come together. You only find 20 people that come. You find 3 people that are online. You find other sectors, maybe for example, National Theatre calls a gathering of performing artists, and then you only find 15 people that are in the room. But then you say, how is that appearance or people coming to a meeting representation of the sector? It's not.
It's not. It's impossible.
So then when we talk about social protection for, I'll give you an example. A couple of months ago, I was doing production and I fell on production, and we know that in our sector, the social protection is little to none. If you pay your social security and whatever, it's limited as to what it can provide for you when you get injured on the job. But that's only for people who know. Many people who are freelancers, you know, you get what you get and it's hand to mouth.
Yes.
Yeah, that type of thing. So luckily for me, I have some type of savings, a little nest egg that I keep in case for emergency. And I was able to go then to Paramount. But then I was able to say, look guys, I'm a freelancer. How can I make my payments work for me? You know, I had to do 12 sessions with a physiotherapist. But if you don't have the money to do so, how are we saying, okay, we want to provide social protection and severance packages and health benefits for the sector, for creatives, but we are not coming together even as a group of 100 people who can sign a manifesto, an MOU, and say we're taking this to the particular ministry to make sure that there's a package that is provided for the sector. So there's no structure. We're not having a conversation. So I know I talk a lot. So
that's not a problem.
let me take you back. How can we engage corporate if we're not engaging ourselves? How can we engage government? Great. There are so many implementative plans that have been put into action. There's been money that is being plowed into the sector. But how many people say, okay, let me take the bus from the north or the bus from Kitmans and see if I cannot have a meeting with the art director or the art official at the ministry and say, look, man, we in Korrigas, we want to paint the art school and we want to buy art supplies for primary school kids for our after school program. No. There's not a conversation.
Yeah, and the conversation becomes imminent and important, particularly when you realize that one of the focus areas of our president, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, is the creative sector. And a part of the reason for that is that it's the most likely to create robust employment.
Yes.
The folks who are coming for mining, it is a small amount of jobs. It is specialist jobs, which are mostly going to go there. But with regards to the creative sector, even mining will benefit. And so it really highlights this importance of us considering it a collective responsibility to grow our ecosystem. We're going to take a short break, Duduzile, if it's
I want to come onto that then when we come back.
When you come back. All right, this is still Business First Africa.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises, from artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative sport tourism.
Welcome back, viewers. If you've been watching the show, you just saw that wonderful promotion for the Creative Sport and Tourism Expo happening from 2 to 4 September, with the NTV CST Awards happening on the 1st of September, amalgamating these three industries to see how best they can work together. But first, Tutu and I are talking about the creators starting at home.
And of course, it being pushed as a narrative from the big house, from the presidential chair. Man, what we don't want to say out loud is that creatives are activists, and we spoke about this before we went on air. The creative voice can influence, can mold, can shape any leadership, any regime, any country's agenda. And being creatives form part of the fourth estate, and they're able to influence the people, move a people.
Right now, Zambia is going to elections on August the 13th.
Yes.
I've seen several music videos which were sponsored by Hakainde Shilema for the youth. Your Maps, the most popular artist there, was at a rally. They understand the value of a creative.
Because it can influence the people and move a people. And also it's good at planting ideologies. So if we're going to be pushing the agenda of brand Namibia, I mean, the best people that you can get to do it are the creatives. And creative sector is not only people who jump around, dance around.
It's not just performers.
It's not performers.
Wide.
It's for IT programmers.
Yes.
Those ones coders, bro. Architects, even people who do numbers can be creative. Even people who do law, people who design landscapes and everything like that. I mean, even the story of, I mean, you can see how some countries or some towns in Namibia, they flood during the rainy season. But it takes a creative architect or a landscape or a town planner to say, guys, we know, and it comes also to formulas as well. Based on the rainfall this year, this is how much it is. We know it comes from the west, from the south, and it flows into the east. Why are we not creatively doing something that can channel the water into the dam, for example? It's it's being able to imagine, conceptualize, and then have a physical manifestation of what it is that's in your mind's eye.
Yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. And now I want to talk about one singular creative. You know Nasir Jones, some people call him Nas, the rapper.
Yes.
He's got a lyric where he says, "He who has begun is half done." So I consider my conversation with you the beginning of that communication that we want to foster. But let's talk about you and your current projects. There's one particular short 10-minute film that I want you to elaborate to the people.
Oh yes, we're talking about Tarred Blemishes, a 12-minute piece that encapsulates the story of the Mwila people, the Mwila community in Namibia, how they got here, their challenges, how are they surviving, how do they see themselves in the Namibian society, and vice versa. But I think underlining, it's really about humanity, it's really about Africanism, and it's really about Namibians really taking a stand for standing up for other people besides their fellow Namibians.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because what's the title of your other film, which you premiered at Guta?
Which one was this one? The Weight of Tomorrow.
The Weight of Tomorrow.
Yes.
That truly reflected what I believe is the artist's role, which is to interact intimately with spaces that society takes for granted. Just talk us through that story. I was privileged to be at the premiere, but please just talk us through that story as well, because I'm seeing a strong theme with the films you make.
So I was because we did a late shift last night, and I was talking to my production officer who is editing some other piece that we're working on. If you look at all my independent work, so I've got over 20 documentaries to my name, but independently it's only the Weight of Tomorrow, which talks about people who collect scrap in Windhoek and how they survive. We have another one called Veraa. I don't know if you've watched it. Veraa talks about how slang is affecting us as Namibians colloquially. Yeah, so that one also came out after The Weight of Tomorrow. Then there is Beyond the Goalpost, which talks about female Namibian footballers. Trials, tribulations. I spent 6 months with the Arrows Ladies Football Club, and just looking at the challenges that are in the sector for female footballers, whether it's money, whether it's access to funding, whether it's access to their kits, whether it's health issues that they also face.
I mean, right now WAFCON is happening, and we'd have loved to watch our brave gladiators there as well.
Yes.
We know that development isn't as robust as it could be. We know the government is doing its best, but it's important to have these stories to understand exactly the processes they're going through.
This is why, just to jump on your comment, that creatives are a mirror of society. We are not necessarily the mirror. We are the ones that hold it up.
We reflect society to itself.
Yes. Then the last one before we did the Mwila project, which was the Rashihama, the man, the music. So we started shooting it before his passing. The 29th of July actually marks his 60th birthday. And then, of course, in September, then we will be marking the anniversary of his passing. And so that one is a documentary based on Rashihama in his voice. Wow. And you know, somebody said, "Oh my goodness, I think the director is so confused because there's no culmination to this documentary." Because I said to the person listening, watching, is that the director has not made peace with the death of their character. So Rashihama in the documentary is a living archive. He speaks about himself, and you see that through the documentary. So there's not really a rest in peace, or we don't really speak about him in the past tense in the documentary, which is quite intentional because I would want his memory to continue living on.
Absolutely.
Then Tarred Blemishes now.
Yes.
But I do want to say, and I know sometimes I can yap on and on, is that if you've seen all my pieces, you won't think it's done by the same director because each one is interpreted differently. Although the Mwila project is a very serious one, we did shoot it like a semi-music video. So you find hip-hop pieces in there, you find kwaito pieces in there, you find shambo pieces in there, especially in the music influences, even in the editing style, we do that reverb type of thing.
All right.
Yeah, type of thing.
Yes.
So it's intentionally styled differently because the director doesn't want you to have the same type of journey in a different story.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I have to thank you for your commitment to Namibia's creative economy. I say this as a person who met you when you were directing me for voiceovers and just about anything else. And we could argue that my voice is bigger than the rest of my career. But
The voice is you.
But really, to be able to see a creative hold the course, stay on that journey. Remember, there was a time where we weren't the primary focus of the presidency. That's another step over there.
Yes.
And we're seeing, okay, structurally we're being recognized more. We're seeing the Creative Sport Tourism Expo, an opportunity. As you said, creatives are everywhere. That's why this expo exists, because we know in tourism, we are there. In sport, who's designing the kits? We are there. So these economies need to work together, but you are highlighting the importance of us having the conversation.
Yes.
Tutu, I would have loved to talk more, but I'd like to end the show with some of your trailers. So if it's okay, we're going to call it a wrap over here.
Yes.
But please, just a word to any Namibian. If it's just a Namibian girl, also perfect, because we can't now pretend that we are working on a landscape that is leveled for everybody. But any one message from them to take away from Tutu Mungoba's story.
You know, I'm one that was raised by grandparents. And old school grandparents are very much about Ubuntu.
Yes.
Very much about sharing.
Yes.
One loaf was shared amongst 3-4 houses. When we were watching television, we would go to the neighbor's house to go watch.
And even eating, there's one plate for pub, one plate for meat, and we are all,
I think modern, contemporary times has made us forget about who we are. Ubuntu. And I think the reason why you and I can have sincere conversations is because I can be vulnerable with you. I am not Tutu, the content strategist, creative director, filmmaker. I am just an African. I see you as my brother.
Yes.
There's so many times that I do want to do projects with you, but I know that you're a little bit hefty on the pocket, so I need to get a bigger budget to afford you. I really think that...
But you know what's interesting though? I actually, maybe some of the creatives could take this on. I do not charge the same for corporate as I do for an SME, as I do for an individual creative. So any creative can really work with me according to what they are able to, because we want to push the industry. And I also do not take on any event that is meant for women, regardless of whatever they want to pay me. Because we also need to understand that even though you have capacity, that does not mean you are necessary for that space. So one final word, Duduzile.
You are instrumental in building the blocks for a better Namibia. You are, because I am, because everybody behind the scenes is part of it. We need to be fully cognizant and fully woke about when we get up out of bed and step your foot, what your purpose is. You are not living and breathing for just. No.
It's
as unique as you are as your fingerprint. Seriously, we should be excited about the existence that we live in.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us on Business First Africa. That has been Tutu Mungoba. I'm going to go ahead and call her a creative visionary. We are not merely existing for ourselves.
No.
That is the
message.
message.
Am because of you.
I am because of you, and you are because of we.
Yeah.
That's with Business First Africa. And as you can clearly tell, it's never just business, it's life.
Warunda ko kilongo joko kule. Waka tuko mute nyatu kiki konti. Okulano kwen. Wo no uye wacho wam. Kulande sabaru lale budulali no ni lalo viet. Tulamwila.